Hey everyone, well, get this. Kanye West, now known as Ye, has recently had a meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Instead of endorsing Trump for 2024 in true Kanye fashion, Kanye asked Trump to not only endorse him, but be his VP. I can't wait for you guys to hear Trump's apparent reaction. Kanye says how Trump reacted, and then Trump tells how he reacted. There's a lot of drama around this. So before we jump all the way into it, welcome to Truth Bombs. Happy weekend. I am joined by Ashley Rodriguez Vasquez.
Yes. Vasquez. Woo! For the first time.
She's a newlywed, you guys.
I'm a newlywed. Yes, that's right. So this is my first time using my last name, my married last name now. So it's an honor. Ain't that the truth?
Awesome. Well, congrats on that. And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Ashley is a retired sportscaster.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So real quick, tell me about your sportscasting experience.
Yes. So I went to school for broadcasting, and I always loved being more involved in sports. So just my whole family is a big sports fan and stuff. And I'm a true born Houstonian. So I love my Houston Astros, which, by the way, world champions again, baby. We're That's so excited because, you know, it's so much fun. But yeah, I went to school for broadcasting, and then, you know, I was involved with the Houston Texans. I was one of their NFL cheerleaders. Oh. And then, so from there, I worked with Telemundo, and then I was with ESPN Deportes. And so it's been a lot of fun. You know, I miss it, but you know, I'm so happy to be able to get back into it here with Truth Bombs.
Absolutely. We're going to jump into a little bit of sports talk a little bit later when we talk about the World Cup going on now. But first and foremost, Kanye has announced he's running for president in 2024. He wants Trump to be his VP. We have the soundbite Kanye posted last night on his Twitter, Kanye on visiting Trump. Here it is.
I think the thing that Trump was most perturbed about, me asking him to be my vice president, I think that was like lower on the list of things that caught him off guard. It was the fact that I walked in with intelligence. So Trump is really impressed with Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes, unlike so many of the lawyers and so many people that he was left with on his 2020 campaign, he's actually a loyalist. When he didn't know what the lawyers is, you'll still have your lawyer list. And when all the lawyers said, forget it, Trump's done, there were loyalists running up in the White House, right? And my question would be, why, when you had the chance, did you not free the January 6ers? And I came to him as someone who loves Trump, and I said, go and get Corey back. Go and get these people that the media tried to cancel and told you to step away from. He basically gives me this would-be mob-esque kind of story, talking to some kid from the south side of Chicago trying to sound mobby or whatever. He goes into the story about all that he went through to get Alice Johnson out of jail and how he didn't do it for Kim, but he did it for me. But then he goes on to say that Kim is a you can tell her I said that. And I was thinking, like, that's the mother of my children. Since we know, and all the Christians in America that love Trump know that Trump is a conservative, we're going to demand that you hold all policies directly to the Bible. When Trump started basically screaming at me at the table, telling me I was going to lose, I mean, has that ever worked for anyone in history?
You're going to lose. Tell me he's going to lose.
I'm like, well, hold on, Trump. You're talking to Ye.
Perfect.
Oh, you're talking to Ye. Get it right, Trump. Okay.
Classic. Loving, you know, Kanye loving himself. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, Kanye is certainly, I have to applaud his boldness. You know, I don't think that there's anyone else out there that is as bold and just carefree. You know, he is unapologetically himself and always has been. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I have to hand it to him. But in this case, I don't know, Ivory. I don't think that many people would support him as a president or even vice president. You know, I don't know. But then again, you know, no one thought that Trump would become president. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there. But I really think that in comparison, here between two parties, yeah, I'd have to hand the win over to Trump here.
Yeah, a lot of people do not take Kanye seriously.
Mhm.
And then also Kanye has this growing cult following.
Yes.
So you never know, but a lot of Trump supporters are now upset at Kanye because they thought, okay, Kanye is backing Trump. He's worn the red hat and
Right.
supports Trump, and now he's going against Trump,
Mhm.
being divisive. And a lot of Republicans don't want to divide the party because that's handing the win over to the Democrats.
Right.
So
right.
so people are like, oh, I knew Kanye was up to something. He's not for us after all.
Right. And I also think too that in recent months, Kanye has come out a lot more, just being very bold, speaking about a lot of topics and issues, more so regarding like his family, just just with Balenciaga and Adidas, all of these deals fell through for him. Well, in his words, he said that was a plan all along, but he's just very controversial. So I feel like the Republican Party just wants someone who isn't deemed as unstable as the media likes to portray him, and they want someone who is going to uphold a good, as you said, a good Christian morality, and someone who is going to push the values that Republicans hold.
Mm-hmm. I think so, but honestly, I really think that no matter who runs for president, like the media is going to paint that person as unstable,
yes,
or crazy or wacky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the case with George W. Bush. Was painted as like just brainless, and then they just do it for everyone, no matter who it was. It's been the worst against Trump, but I think no matter who runs, they're going to be painted that way by the media. So I think the Republican Party needs to stop caring what people think and just stand for their values.
Right, absolutely.
So Kanye was saying, in The Hill reporting on this, that Trump screamed at him, quote, when Trump started basically screaming at me at the table, telling me that I was going to lose. I mean, has that ever worked for anyone in history? And you heard Kanye talk about that in the video. Okay, so Trump's response, let's look at Trump's actual response. Kanye says that Trump screamed at him. Trump is telling a different story on his Truth Social. Who knows what really happened? But Trump said on Truth Social, he just posted this a couple of hours ago. If you click on the Truth Social tab there, right there. Yeah. So it says, Trump said here, quote, this past week, Kanye called me to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago. Shortly thereafter, he unexpectedly showed up with 3 of his friends whom I knew nothing about. We had dinner on Tuesday evening with many members present on the back patio. The dinner was quick and uneventful. They then left for the airport. So that's all that Trump is saying about all this. Trump, of course, is not going to talk about Kanye running for president. So, Trump's downplaying this like crazy. And apparently, one of those 3 friends ended up being Nick Fuentes. And Kanye then retweeted this article that says, Ye brings Nick Fuentes and Karen Giorno to dinner with Trump. And so basically in that video that we played first, I think Kanye was trying to make the point, why doesn't Trump support the people who support him more, like Nick Fuentes, who's a huge Trump fan? But now the media is in a tizzy saying, oh my gosh, Trump had a white nationalist to dinner. Now, I myself have not followed Nick Fuentes too much. I've seen media talk about him as a white nationalist, and at first I was like, okay, I've never met a white nationalist. I didn't hear the term white nationalist until Trump came around. Is this a real thing? Then I checked out Nick Fuentes' social media briefly, and sure enough, he was supporting white nationalism, which I found out means white people literally forming their own nation separate from other races.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, ew.
Yeah.
That's not cool. So anyway, apparently Nick Fuentes is an actual white nationalist, he was supporting this cause on his social media of white people forming their own nation, which I'm totally against. I don't think we should stoop to looking through race-colored lenses like the media is begging. Media has been painting this narrative, begging white people to be the racists the media wants them to be.
Right.
And that's been happening for the past decade. That narrative wasn't really the case prior to that. And some white people, such as Nick Fuentes, are falling into that trap and actually saying, yeah, let's be the racists the media wants and separate races. That's BS. You guys are, I think your brains are weak for falling for that. So I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan. Anyway, the media is now trying to paint that, okay, Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes, so I guess, they back each other. Right. And Trump is saying on his Truth Social, oh, there were two other people that I knew nothing about. So Trump is keeping his distance from this kid.
Which is good because, Trump is a smart man. I think that he knows that he doesn't want to be associated with the wrong type of people. And so I know that the media has painted Trump as, portraying him to be a racist. And, there's just so many things that have been said about him. And we know that that's not true. And for someone like Nick Fuentes to come into the picture, they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, this is the story that we're going to go with now. If Trump is meeting with him, well, then our storyline was true all along. So yeah, I don't doubt that Trump is going to want to hide from him and be like, no, we're two other people, don't know who he is, don't know him.
Yeah, so Trump seems to be downplaying this big time on his Truth Social. I want to check out the comment section because I want to see what my viewers think of Nick Fuentes. I know that some people actually like him. Let's click on some comments here. Fuentes trolls the media. He's a sharp guy. So I know people like how outspoken he is. Apparently, I was invited to CPAC last year, and apparently Nick Fuentes Nick Fuentes sabotaged CPAC. He was actually banned from CPAC. He marches in and starts speaking the hallways and stuff. But he definitely has this charisma that some people go for. But if he's about, separating races and weird things like that, then I'm not about him, as charismatic as he is. Look, that's why people like AOC, she's charismatic, but I'm not about giant social programs, so I'm not about her either. Okay, so Rex says Trump needs to distance himself from Nick Fuentes. Yeah, if Nick is supporting weird racial stuff that Trump doesn't support, then he probably does want to distance himself. I love that you can literally see in the mirror on the video, you can see that we're clicking on your comments, guys. Okay, a German Shepherd says, well, who cares? There's other colors doing the same thing. Okay, I understand that a lot of Black people are saying, ooh, let's separate our races because we hate white people. Look, all of you guys are falling for the media's trap, is all I'm saying. I know that media has been drilling it into your heads that oh, white people are racist, and that has caused some Black people to be racist, and white people are getting so fed up with it. Some people are saying, let's be the racist they're saying. And all I'm saying is if you take that mindset, you're falling right into their trap. You're weak-minded. Who cares about these divisive narratives? Use a bigger brain and realize that skin color means nothing. It's the same as hair color or eye color. Who cares?
Absolutely.
So, we got some super chats. We got to click on all the super chats for sure. Let's see. Hope that you two had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Kevin. By the way, Ashley, what's your race? People like talking about this.
Well, I am Hispanic, Mexican roots. So, I was born here in the United States. My parents were born in Mexico, and they immigrated over here legally. And, I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud. A lot of people don't know this, but my first language is actually Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Hablo español.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I love it. We have a beautiful culture. And kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, Ivory, America is a big melting pot. So I completely agree where, we need to have someone to represent us that knows that and is going to celebrate all of those cultures and, just us coming together and making a difference, making a change that is going to last and is going to have an impact for decades, years to come.
Absolutely. It was noted in the midterm elections how many Hispanics are starting to vote Republican. They're actually supported Trump more. And
Yes.
Trump, in announcing his run for presidency, said that a lot of the Mexican immigrants understand the border issue more than anyone, and they're the biggest supporters of his. Is that true?
Right. Yes. No, I would say so. Especially, well, to the people that I've spoken to before. And let me just say, as someone with my type of background, especially when I was working in media, there was a lot of people that were very surprised that a woman who was Hispanic, wasn't trying to go for the other party. And as journalists, we try to be very unbiased and just stick to what it is. And so when I felt that there was a big push, especially from audience and people, and this was very early on when, Trump was first starting to run and starting to come out as, president and stuff, there was a lot of people that were very much against that. When, a lot of truth started to unfold, it started to make a lot of sense. Like, wait a second, that doesn't sound so crazy. Or wait a second, let me do some of my digging. And So as far as border control, I think that everyone can agree that we want people here in this country that are going to work hard, respect, the laws that we have, encourage better laws as well. Really the big concern there is when it comes to safety, it's understandable if a man and his family, he's looking for a better life. Absolutely. I also believe that there's a way to do it, a right way to do it. Could those laws and that process be bettered? Absolutely, 1,000%. But I think that the concern that we all share and have is, the drug lords, the sex offenders, the people who are doing bad in their own country and want to bring that bad over into our country. There has to be a proper screening process. And so when the opposing party is just like, yeah, everyone can come over, it's like, wait a second, just like everyone has to do a screening process when you're, getting a passport or trying to go into a different country, that should be no different here. So I think a lot of Hispanics, especially after this past election, they've definitely had their eyes open. And actually, a lot of my minorities too, they've been like, wow, this this guy that's in the White House isn't as bad as, the media is painting him out to be. So I think a lot of minorities.
Wait, Trump or Biden?
Well, I'm talking about Trump, not as bad as he was made out to be. But I think that a lot of minorities have just realized, like, hey, this, there's more to the truth. And I think that, we shouldn't be so blinded to what, the media is trying to paint, just mainstream media, but it's important, for people to understand, like, hey, there's the way that I've always viewed politics is that we're so much alike, meaning everyone in this country, we're more alike than we think. And just because we care about the same issues, but just because I believe that a candidate can tackle on those issues better than your preferred candidate, that doesn't mean that I care about the issues any less. I'm sure that the opposing side, the Democratic side, might have some, views about border control or, immigration or anything like that, but it's like, okay, how do we tackle this? How can we come together and really make something that works, implement laws that really work? Because at the end of the day, that we care about the same things. We just believe that someone else is going to come in and do a better job to fix those issues.
Yeah, I think you're right in some aspects. Now, Kamala Harris says that the border is secure. She was asked and said, no, it's secure. Even though we have the worst influx of illegal immigration ever. And she said, yeah, but it's secure because we're trying to secure it. So we live in a weird era right now. Okay, I want to check the next super chat. Hey, Miss Ivory, haven't seen you in concert in forever. I'm so glad to have seen you and that you're doing so well. Clint, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, I put music on the back burner to do news. Once I went independent, it was just like a lot. It was a lot of work. So I love music, but I haven't done a concert in a while. I used to do gigs more.
You have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you so much.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, guys, link down in the description is my music. I just dropped a song like a week or two ago. Okay, so basically, I wanted to play one more soundbite of Kanye when he was talking about Drink Champs was the original podcast he was on a few weeks ago that ended up getting banned, deleted from YouTube. The Drink Champs host got in big trouble for having Kanye on. That is when Kanye talked about like apparently hating Jewish culture, but also saying he is a Jew. And then at the end of the podcast saying, look, I'm only hating on Jews because I'm jealous of them because they read their contracts and they don't get divorced and they're good parents and all this. It was an interesting podcast, but in that podcast, he was also asked Trump or Biden. This is when before he decided he wants Trump to be his VP. But here's what Kanye said on Drink Champs about a month ago.
Biden or Trump?
I mean, I already know what he is. Maybe he says both. He gonna be like both.
Don't think because I went to sleep and acted like I was dead that I was saying Biden.
I said that in the last episode. It didn't come out yet. I did say that.
Let me tell you what. I'm going to tell you guys. We're never going to get fooled again. Kamala Harris is our never again. When they added her in as the vice president, the Democrats got 96% of the black female vote. You would have thought Drake was running.
Jesus.
Kamala Harris is our never again. We're never gonna be fooled just because you put in this like very attractive. I am single, Kamala. Now,
I obviously picked Trump, right? Biden and Trump.
yeah, Trump.
Okay,
he cool. He cool for now.
He cool, yeah.
Trump is cool for now, but Kamala's hot.
He is wild. I cannot.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know. We'll see. But honestly, this is what, if you guys don't remember, this is what Kanye did in 2016 too. He was supporting Trump. He was wearing a red hat. And then Kanye runs for president himself.
Yes.
But it didn't make much way. So I think it's going to be a similar thing in 2024. Look, some people just say, look, Kim rubbed off on Kanye a little much as far as Kim being like the drama queen that's always making the headlines. Now that's Kanye like picked up from Kim how to make sensational headlines now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Kanye has always been very controversial. I remember, gosh, I don't know what award show, but you know, that moment where he took the microphone from Taylor Swift when she was accepting her award. And he's like, I'm so sorry, but I think Beyonce had the best album of all time. Da, da, da. I was like, I think Kanye has always been just like his own person. Like I said, unapologetically himself. He has no filter. So I think that I think he did kind of feed off of Kim a little bit, but now it's like, I think it's always been in him.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Now, for the people who love Kanye, I do understand some of the things he has said. You know, a few of the things have been spot on in regards to like the music industry leaders taking advantage of the talent, having one-sided contracts, pressuring on air, you know, or musicians and whatnot to push a certain agenda. I understand that Kanye is trying to call that out. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
But when he's calling it, you know, the Jewish media or the Jewish music executives or whatever, I think that's incorrect because it's all racist. Like, I agree that the media leaders have issues. My bosses were not Jewish. The owners of Fox Corp are from Australia. So to say Jewish is like, you're missing the mark, Kanye. Yeah, call out these people who are controlling narratives. Yeah. but it's every race. So that's my take on Kanye. Guys, do you agree with me or no? Let's see the comments. I know there's like hardcore Kanye fans who are saying no, he's deeper than you think.
I do love that he is a celebrity that is coming forward and just speaking up a lot about what happens behind closed doors. You know,
Yeah.
he's certainly
Totally
bringing to light. I think that there, like you said, there's some marks that he hits and there's some other ones where you're just like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Wait, someone said Kanye is black hat. What does that mean? I don't understand the whole hat colors thing. Black hat, guys, let me know what that means in the comments, but I think that means he's a bad guy. I'm assuming black hat is bad guy, white hat is good guy. Okay, so I'm checking your comments. You can just click on anything. Kamala was a solid 5 back in 2001. Rory says, I'm looking at your comments. Kamala was a solid 5. People are disagreeing. Yeah, I was like, I never thought of like Kamala Harris as a smoke show, but Kanye thinks she's pretty hot. I mean, how old is Kamala? Maybe she's more in his age bracket because he's in his 40s.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
But he I don't know, Kim's in her 40s now too, but he's going for younger girls now.
Yes.
Okay, so switching gears, you guys, the media is now sensationalizing the triple-demic. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
There's now a triple-demic in America. That means we have the RSV virus, the flu, and COVID, you know, traversing our nation with illness. NBC reporting that the combination of these 3 illnesses is pushing some hospitals over the edge as the U.S. faces a shortage of pediatric beds, medical staff, and even some medications. It's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. The media has been reporting on the fact that, you know, they rolled out this new stick in the arm. I use code words on YouTube because they're all weird, but for little kids, and it wasn't catching on. The kids were not getting any of the protection in the arm that they used to. And now suddenly, I guess, child illnesses are surging. We have this little report from NBC on the new triple-demic. Let me know in the comments if you guys are witnessing this in the area. Well, let's play the video first, and then we'll check the comments. Here it is from NBC. No, the triple-demic right here.
In Buffalo, some store shelves normally filled with children's Tylenol are empty. Pharmacists say a spot shortage of the drug in Canada, triggered by mounting cases of RSV, is spilling over the border.
Apparently up in Canada, the liquid forms of Tylenol are unavailable.
Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Tylenol, says there's no overall shortage in the U.S., telling NBC News we are experiencing high consumer demand and are doing everything we can to make sure people have access to the products they need. Still, the FDA currently lists amoxicillin as being in short supply, and it all comes as the healthcare industry braces for a potential triple-demic this winter, RSV, flu, and COVID colliding.
Hi, Ella.
In New York, Ella Rose Guillaume is home after a week in the hospital.
It was surreal. I'm like, as seeing your daughter on a breathing mask, and she's only 3.5.
Adding to the strain on the system, an increasingly dire staffing shortage. More than 500,000 people in the healthcare and social services industries quit their positions in September. Were you burnt out?
Extremely, yes, sir.
Reese Brown in Louisiana is no longer a traveling nurse.
The joy was just literally being sucked out of us. We were doing everything that we could, and it was never enough.
As for COVID, the CDC says new data shows the Omicron boosters offer better protection against variants than earlier doses. Still, they are not as effective as the original COVID vaccine was against the initial virus.
There you go. The new needles are not as effective. I don't know if this came up at your Thanksgiving dinner last night, but Washington Post now reporting that the number of people who have had the needle and then died of the new illness, that number is greater than the people who have not had the needle and then died of the illness, which runs completely contrary to the narrative we've been fed the entire pandemic.
Right. So it's pretty stunning.
We're considered conspiracy theorists when we start talking about the jab, and people that have had it and that haven't had it. And I think at some point earlier this year, there was an article, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was by the CDC, talking about how the booster jabs were no longer needed because they weren't effective. So it just goes back to being like, isn't that funny? Now that after all of this has kind of died down, now that they elected the person that they wanted to be running the country, it's like, so it was all part of their narrative and just everything that was falling into that. And it's really crazy whenever you look at the statistics and go back to the people that have had it, haven't had it, have gotten over it, have beat this. I think it's a personal choice, but at the same time, to blame it on, illnesses, on people that haven't had the jab to comparison to the ones that have, there's a lot of talk there too,
Yeah, it's weird because CDC Director Rochelle Walensky for months has been saying, no, it's dramatically the people who've not had the needle who are dying in the hospital. And now suddenly they're saying, just kidding, the numbers have just changed. And now if you've had the needle, you're more likely to die in the hospital. Yet this brand new report about the new triple-demic doesn't mention that at all. In fact, it ends telling people to go get that needle. I'm like, okay. Anyway, we have this graphic out of Texas. Apparently the flu, the triple-demic includes the flu. And the flu is really bad. Now, this is the health department for the city of Austin putting out these numbers. Travis County, that's where Austin is. You can see here that the line in red is 2022 flu season. That line is just beginning. You can see it on the left. It is dramatically higher than any of the past 4 years. So if it continues to increase like it does going into the cold weather, the flu is going to be really, really bad. This is the percentage of visits due to influenza-like illness, visits to the hospital, I guess. So this is not flu deaths. But you can see what's really interesting. You guys may remember that when the pandemic hit with the new illness, we basically magically cured the flu. Suddenly there was no flu cases during the pandemic. You can see that in the blue and green lines, 2020 through 2022. Those lines are almost flat, especially that flu season of 2020 to 2021. It's just there was almost zero cases of flu. It was like, I guess we magically cured the flu, as this new illness that's quite similar to the flu is raging, but we're calling it a different name. So it was really weird. Well, now that the cases of the new illness are going down, the flu is surging like never before, as well as RSV. I don't know. It's just all interesting to observe, but I just looking at those numbers and like
I think it also, we as people over time have combated all of these illnesses and diseases, some through natural remedies, some through just fighting through it. I believe that, God had created our bodies to fight, certain illnesses and diseases, and we were made to just grow stronger from these things. I just hate that they want to keep us in fear so bad. The flu has been around, and now it's suddenly this thing to where go get another vaccine or go get another jab. I don't want us to be put on block. Go get another jab, but it's like, I really think it's also a lot of fear mongering. I don't know. That's just my opinion, Ivory. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, I come from corporate news, 9 years in corporate news, and fear mongering sells.
Yep.
We always would look for what's the most sensational thing to cover. Like, your child might die in a hospital. Tune in at 6, So there's a monetary incentive to sensationalize these things. But I think after the past pandemic, a lot of people got really turned off by that and don't
Right.
believe any of it. Other people still believe it. Just in the grocery store this week, I saw quite a few people with masks. So those people find out about the triple-demic before I did, obviously.
Yes.
And they're masked back up. So here we go. We got a comment. Thank you. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. 4th COVID wave in hospital, recovering from surgery, not vaccinated until now. Scared. You are scared until now. You were scared? Thank you so much for the comment. So you guys are getting hit hard. You know, that brings me to, you know, that page that we were showing briefly before. It does talk about, this is the official government website from Austin, Texas. Emergency rooms in the area are inundated with patients suffering from upper respiratory illnesses. The flu positivity rate in Travis County for the most recent reporting period is 26%. That it's usually below 10%. So flu rates are more than double in Texas, in one of Texas's biggest cities right now. So it's, I mean, and I hear it's really happening in schools. I mean, this isn't all fake news, I guess. So it's just interesting to observe what's going on. I'm saying, guys, boost your immune systems naturally. Like you said, it's largely about what you eat, getting out in the sun, getting exercise, de-stressing, eating those natural superfoods. Did you know that garlic is one of the biggest, it's actually like a natural antibiotic.
Yes.
It's really intense.
Onion. I also saw a TikTok recently where she got banned. Like, she's had her account taken off a couple times. I think she goes off of Posh Mama or something like that.
For talking about food?
Well, yeah. Well, natural remedies. How to cure yourself.
Natural remedies are the enemy
to
pharmaceutical industry, which controls all media.
Yes. So she was talking about how you cut an onion, you let it soak in purified water overnight, and then you drink it. And it's supposed to be great for your immune system. You know, you beat all, you know, bacteria, diseases that are out and about, you know, common cold, flu, stuff like that. And oh my gosh, she got taken off like that. And she reposted the video. And again, it was taken off. So I don't know, but crazy. It's again, a natural remedy. So yeah.
Incredible. Well, that just reminds me, you know, I was harken back to Zach Voorhees, my friend, the whistleblower from Google. When he blew the whistle on Google, like, yes, they were doing political censorship in Google search results, but they were also banning cancer cure results.
Oh, yeah.
That is just so horrifying. Like, that cancer cures would be deleted from Google search results because you don't want any cure outside the narrative.
Yeah.
And then you think about how the fight for cancer cures, how much money that raises, all these different campaigns every year.
If we're healthy, they're not making money.
Right.
So if we're not sick, or if they don't keep us sick, they're not making any money. And by they, I mean like pharmaceutical companies, you know, that's what they want.
Which funds the media industry. So the media industry, like, if pharmaceutical industry is doing well, media industry is doing well because pharmaceutical fund sends all their funding there. So yeah, it's all very compromised. Them and the government. Pharmaceutical industries funds the government funds the media as well. They all fund each other. So
it's all a big circle. It just goes round and round.
And the government loves needy Americans. If they're all sick and needy of healthcare, then it empowers the government. So keep the people sick, keep them wanting pharmaceuticals. It's this vicious circle. And I think more people are waking up to it, fortunately. This all brings me to China. Bad things are happening in China, you guys. China is erecting a big quarantine center. Yeah, more quarantine centers. We have video of this China new quarantine camp construction. Check it out. Look at that. They're building a whole gulag.
That is so scary. I love that you know the term gulag. I think anyone who plays Call of Duty would be proud to know.
Oh, is that a
That is, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm not a video gamer, but that's good to know. Well, NPR is reporting Beijing adds a new COVID quarantine center, sparking panic buying.
Ugh.
China right now is having a repeat of March 2020 in America when all the shelves were bare. That's happening in Beijing. Reporting, quote, residents of China's capital were emptying supermarket shelves and overwhelming delivery apps Friday as the city government ordered accelerated construction of COVID-19 quarantine centers and field hospitals. It has been absolute hell prison in China. This has basically off and on been the case for the past almost 3 years now in China because their president, lovely Xi Jinping, has a zero COVID policy. So if there's one case, we got to lock you down. NPR is reporting daily cases across COVID across the country are hitting records with 32,000 cases reported Friday. That's today. Of those, 1,000 were in Beijing. So nationwide in China, as huge as that nation, as populous as China is with its millions of people, only 32,000 cases of COVID. That's very low. Yet they are deciding to build a massive new COVID camp. They already have other COVID camps. They have also built a wall to keep people in because Chinese are fleeing the country. It's tyranny there for sure. So we have another video. The Chinese, it turned into like this riot fight because here's how it works in China. Like everyone has an assigned QR code from the government. And you have to go to like access anything, to go through doors, to buy things. Your QR code has to be scanned and it has to come back green, meaning you're healthy. So every day you have to go get tested at these little tents with government police in head to toe white plastic gear. And you get your QR code scanned green. Well, after nearly 3 years, the Chinese are starting to fight back. This is not the first protest. I mean, there's been Chinese protests, but check this out. One of the testing centers, it turns into violence. Check it So weapons are banned in China. You can't have a gun. Do you see how they tore apart the testing tent and used the legs of the tent as their weapons?
Yes.
To fight back against the tester police and their head to toe plastic.
That is tyranny at its finest. And let me, right now that you brought up the topic of weapons, this is exactly what our Second Amendment is supposed to do, is to protect us against tyrannical governments like that. Right. That is exactly why our founding fathers put the Second Amendment. And I saw a post the other day, Ivory, on Twitter where it said, gee, I don't know, if our founding fathers thought that the right to bear arms was so important, why else would they have named it second, in our Constitution? You know what I mean? And it just goes to show you, like, this is exactly what happens when the government has too much power. And I just think it's so sad because it is right. You have out of the whole country, you have this very small percentage that is sick or is getting sick. I don't know if they're trying to prevent an outbreak, another 2020 pandemic, which I don't know if that's the case or not, but, keeping people locked up, and that reminds me of concentration camps. I don't know about you, but
totally.
Yeah, it's
Horrifying.
Definitely scary.
Absolutely. So, but there's even a lot of Americans who say, well, but the government has our best interest. They're protecting us from each other, and someone needs to do that. So sadly, it's a really controversial topic. I think historically more Americans felt that, are personally responsible for ourselves. It's up to us to protect ourselves from each other. I think more Americans used to understand that every time I leave my front door, I have the possibility of dying in many different ways. I could die of some new illness when I leave my front door. I could get hit by a car.
Yep.
I could die in many ways, but I take that risk every time I leave my front door, because living in freedom does not mean living in safety. You have to figure out how to be safe. There's always an incentive to be safe. But now we live more and more in a society who says that government must keep us safe from each other, and we have no choice in deciding, to take risks or be safe ourselves. And so that's a slippery slope to go down. I know that, people make fun of those who harken back to Nazi Germany, but I'm going to keep harkening back to it because it's so true. Hitler used the same sort of propaganda when he wanted to grow his power, because he started out as chancellor, not dictator. He didn't have a ton of power, but he finagled a way to brainwash people and institute total control. And once he took total control of the media, he started putting out media propaganda that it was the Jews who were going to spread typhus. If we don't lock away Jews, we're all catching typhus, according to Hitler. So it's for everyone's safety to lock certain people away, exterminate certain people. This is like the slippery slope of propaganda that we don't even want to venture into. We used to have a hard line against it as having individual liberty, and it sucks to see us going down that slippery slope. And like my own former boss being like, well, we need to put out this propaganda because we need to, align with the government to protect people from each other. So let's make them extra scared, more scared than they need to be, so that they'll stay inside.
Right.
Like I literally had that conversation. Me and my boss, we would have debates in our boardroom about like, I think why are you over sensationalizing this? But that's where we're at. So the Chinese, they definitely have it worse than us. They don't have guns like us. So they're fighting back by breaking apart testing tents. What do you know? Quote, we got this chat comment. Quote, everybody was kung fu fighting. Everybody was fast as lightning. That's from an old movie, isn't it? Everybody was kung fu fighting. Yes, that's how they're left to do it in China. We want to zone in on soccer. World Cup is going on.
Yes.
USA just played England today. And we had a lot of American patriotism being like, this is 1776. England sucks.
I don't know if you got a chance to watch, but there was literally a guy dressed as an American founding father, as George Washington. JJ knows what I'm talking about. Like literally, it's just like, oh my gosh. And he's just over there like, we're taking this back. We already took it back. And I'm like, love it. I love the patriotism that we have going on here.
One of the guys from Barstool Sports said, look, if it wasn't for us Americans, you English would be speaking German because we saved you guys from World War II and Hitler.
That is true. Yes.
So, like, we are the dominators, but I heard America lost. No, they tied?
They tied. It's a tie.
Wow.
So, to be continued.
Dang. Well, earlier this past week, I talked about the controls at World Cup. It's in Qatar, which is an Islamic country. And Qatar they're arresting people for drinking alcohol. They're allegedly arresting people for being gay, or if they're caught having sex outside of wedlock. There's a lot of, or if you celebrate a different religion than Islam, you are locked away. So there's a lot of lot of chances
Very
to get
sad.
arrested if you're over there watching World Cup. I know I have an American friend over there, and I was like, please be careful. But here we have a headline of someone who did get arrested. Top Iran footballer arrested at club for spreading propaganda against the state. Now, this was one of the top stars of the Iranian soccer team. He is not playing in World Cup, but he did come out in support of the young woman in Iran who was killed after she did not follow the modesty dress code in Iran. That one death has led to intense protests across Iran.
You know, this is a very interesting topic, Ivory, because one of the reasons why I fell in love with sports, and I, you know, as I mentioned, you know, I'm a former sports broadcaster. One of the reasons why I love sports so much is because back in the day, I want to say until 2016, 2017, there really wasn't any politics in sports. Now, anytime a headline comes up, there has to be something political. Now, in this case, you know, it's regarding another country that has very strict laws. They're not as modern as, you know, other countries, especially our own, where, you know, they have their own laws, and it's like, hey, you cannot do this, you can't do that. If you do this, you will be prosecuted, you will be killed, you know. And there is an uproar of people all over the world that it's like, well, that's not right. And it's like, okay, but you know, in this case, this just really goes down to let us know and remind us how blessed we are to live in countries, especially here in the United States, where we get to practice such freedoms that other countries don't have. In other countries in the Middle East, there's literally women fighting for the right to even drive a car, let alone to wear a mini skirt or whatever. They're just wanting to drive a car. I can't tell you,
like, show their hair. They can't even show their hair on their head.
No, they can't. Not even their ankles.
Right.
So again, I know that it's important as people to be the voice for others that are either afraid to talk or that haven't found their voice yet. There's no change that is going to be made without us standing up. But at the same time, this is an event, a World Cup, that, you know, you are in a visiting country and their country is not where you are right now. That's where that, you know, tension comes in. Okay, do we come from outside forces to come in and try to change everything all at once within the couple weeks that, you know, the World Cup is going to be here? Or do we respect the nation's, you know, the country's laws? Let us just simmer down in our ways and just be like, okay, we're in a visiting country. Like, this is just how it's going to have to be. That's where that tension comes in, you know? And it's just so sad when, you know, there's people that are trying to do good, players are trying to do good. There was a headline this morning too, where Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most famous soccer players in the world, you know, the issue with the armband, you know, it really supported the LGBTQ community. I believe it's racism as well, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly Iran.
For people who weren't following, it's like a multicolored band that the players, a lot of soccer players wanted to wear while they were playing, like saying, if we have to play in a tyrannical country, we're at least going to wear this band saying we don't agree with its tyranny.
Right.
And literally Qatar cracked down and said, no, you're not going to wear that.
You're not going to wear that.
And FIFA crumbled and said, okay, we will make the players not wear it. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Why did FIFA even agree to Qatar to begin with? There's a lot of countries in the world. Why are we picking Qatar after we just had the Winter Olympics in China? Like, why are we celebrating these tyrannical countries and cowering to them?
It's truly crazy because, again, and I don't know if it just goes back to bringing in the politics within the sport. You know, there was a reporter as well that she decided to wear the armband And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, she's so brave. And it's like, at the same time too, it's like, is she brave or just, trying to get herself killed? That was a trending topic in the comments. They're like, you're going to get yourself killed. Like, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
So again, it's so tricky because I know that people love the sport and they go and they want to support their team. But then there's also that situation where, hey, do I just bend the knee, metaphor, and say, yeah, let me just, keep my mouth shut. Let me just go watch my team play.
Right.
And then leave and, get back in one piece, not be in prison or anything like that.
Right.
Or it's like, you know what? I don't agree with this type of tyranny. I'm not okay with this. Even though I'm not from here, I'm gonna go ahead and speak my mind, do what I want to do. And then, we'll see if I make it back or not. There's a lot of consequences. I've always believed that the message is just as important as the delivery of the message. So there's certainly changes that need to be made, but I think that there's also a strategy to go about it. And I feel like if you're just traveling alone with a friend or a family member, maybe you want to be a little bit more strategic about it. I don't know, but certainly it's hard for the fans and for the players, especially those that want to show their support to certain communities.
Yeah, it's just interesting that, like, in America, the media and a lot of these sports organizations are so freaking touchy about racial topics and gay, and like, we can't, obviously we're not going to support anyone who makes an innuendo of race or perhaps anti-gay. Yet they're all okay with World Cup this year, which is a very anti-gay, and perhaps anti anything but Islamic situation. You'll get arrested for eating pork there. It's insane.
Yes. Now, on the opposing side, I have seen that a lot of people that have gone to Qatar, a lot of tourists, they have a lot of good things to say, that, the people have been very welcoming and stuff like that as well, which is good. I don't know if it's just because that they're also following the rules and that's why they're so welcoming. But at the same time, it's like, there's always that side of the good in traveling and then the bad in traveling. You go to a foreign country where their laws are very, very different from your own that you're used to, and you have to make a decision in that moment. Like, is this the day? Is this the battle? Am I going to win this war? Probably not alone, but it's, if you want to make noise, you're certainly going to get backlash for it too from that country.
Oh, for sure. And you might just get locked up for 7 years. It's a 7-year sentence if you have sex outside of marriage there. So be careful, you guys. They said, Scott said Ivory would be arrested for wearing that. Absolutely. The modesty thing is no joke. I mean, a lot of these soccer games, like, the guys like to take their shirts off and paint their chest. Yes. That's not allowed in Qatar. Men have to be modest too. Yes. Men can't take their shirt off. Women definitely can't have necklines like this. I mean, I get enough criticism in America for this neckline. I better not venture to Qatar. I would for sure get arrested because I'm bad at following other people's rules. By the way, so it was the Iranian soccer team that decided not to sing their national anthem. Oh, hold on. So Clint says, I've been to Qatar. It's totally modern. They just have different values than us, and we shouldn't demonize them for it or try to colonize them with our values. I've heard a lot of comments in my comment section about, ooh, don't colonize them. I'm saying, like, apparently FIFA was trying to colonize them. I don't know. I'm saying delete them from your little route, period. Like, don't go there. Yeah. Like, why? There's a lot of freer countries to go to. I'm just like, why are you guys playing that game? And Qatar kind of makes up its rules as it goes. I mean, at first Qatar is like, oh yeah, you guys can drink beer. And then like a few days before World Cup, just kidding, you can't drink beer. And alcohol is a major part of this. So then the alcohol industry is freaking out. What do you guys expect? This is like not a modern free country. But dude, you better freaking respect their rules or you're going to prison. Absolutely. Yes. If I were organizing it, I would have not picked that country. That's all I'm saying.
I think Clint Torres there, Ivory, said it's their way and their right. And that I also do agree with that too. They do have a right to be that way since it is their country. But at the same time, it's tyrannical. It's crazy, it's,
Yeah.
and anyone has a right to act and do a certain way. But when it, infringes other rights too, then that's when you have the problem. And that's when you have the uproar from people outside, from the outside of the world looking in like, hey, this isn't cool, but again.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys said Ivory's got a dog. Can you guys hear the dog whining in the background? I'm dog sitting right now.
He's got a lot to say about this topic too, okay? He's not very happy that it ended in a tie, go Team USA.
Exactly.
He has a lot to say about the no drinking policy in Qatar, okay?
Budweiser is suing FIFA.
Wow.
Because they lost a lot of money. Ooh, I'm saying, why did FIFA decide to get themselves into this mess? Like, pick a country that always likes beer so that you don't get sued by Budweiser. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me why they picked that. But look, bottom line, I know we haven't really talked about Iran on my show yet, and the Iranian soccer player was just arrested. Now, it was the Iranian team that did not sing their national anthem in protest to the tyranny in Iran, which Iran is another extreme Muslim country similar to Qatar. And so people are saying that this new arrest of this big soccer player is a signal to the soccer players in Qatar right now that you guys better stop protesting, or when you come home to Iran, you may get arrested too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there have been rumors that 15,000 Iranians were scheduled for death sentence. That has been fact checked. I believe it was Reuters that I read that said, okay, that kind of turned into a rumor. Even Justin Trudeau was like, we stand against the 15,000 who are going to be sentenced to death for protesting in Iran. Apparently it was about 15,000 who were arrested for protesting, but only 5 people so far, according to mainstream media, are sentenced to death for various roles in protesting, which is still horrifying. That Iran would arrest 15,000 people who began to protest for women's rights, basically. My take is that we honestly have no clue what the truth is, because Iran has a lockdown on its media. Ever since the protests started in Iran, Iran really shut down its internet. So it's really hard to see video of what's going on there. The protests have been going on for weeks, but it's so controlled there that they could be literally having a Holocaust like Nazi Germany, and we wouldn't know. It's really hard to tell what the truth is. But Iran the Iranian government is pushing back, saying we're not going to execute 15,000 people. Okay, so we can choose to believe these tyrants' narrative, or we honestly have no idea. And Iran, in the media is reporting, Iran isn't being clear about how many people they have died in these conflicts and protests since that one woman died for not following modesty laws. So it's an interesting time, because you look back at Nazi Germany, and people in other nations like Austria had no clue that people were getting gassed in concentration camps because Hitler had a lockdown on media there. It took time and winning the war to find out how bad the Holocaust actually was. So I think we should keep our eyes tuned to what the heck is really going on everywhere. We may, there may be a Holocaust going on right now that we're not aware of. That's my take.
Right. No, and I've seen videos on TikTok and just on social media in general where kids are filming, they're trying as sneakily as possible with their phones of the protest and, of literally soldiers from their own government shooting its own civilians. And that is just so heartbreaking, especially as a child. I can only imagine that type of trauma that is being inflicted in their minds, because they're witnessing firsthand, people who are supposed to be there to protect you, and instead they go around and shoot your neighbors. I think that's so sad, and that is very real. I'm certainly praying for all the people. And again, I'll say it again. It just goes to show you how blessed we are to live in a country and that allows us to express ourselves and to practice certain rights and some of the laws that we have. Are they perfect? No, but they're certainly a lot better than what other people are going through and what they have right now in their country. So it's a very scary time. And like you said, do we just choose to, trust the tyrannical government and their, mainstream media says, no, we're not going to kill all these people. No, we're not doing this. It's like, okay, well, it's very controlled, but it is very scary. From the videos that I've seen, it's just very scary to watch. It's very real. And again, it's very traumatic, especially for all the people that are living it right now.
Absolutely. So we pray for freedom in Iran and everywhere, and we're blessed here in America. Let's check the comment section one last time. We've already flown past an hour. I can't believe it's already been an hour. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's click on these. So Yod says, how do you reform countries if you exclude them from participation? It is not my country's job to reform Qatar. Mm-hmm. All we can do is steer clear of people who are trying to control us. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. I don't want to vacation in a country that's going to arrest me because I accidentally showed cleavage. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to steer clear of the tyrants that I can't control. Mm-hmm. America shouldn't waste money trying to control them. We should just stay away from them. That's my take. Mm-hmm. Matthew says, I'm supposed to worry about Iran tyranny when I have Biden, Garland, and the FBI and Justice Department against me. Good point, Matthew. I've been highlighting all kinds of FBI corruption. Most recently, FBI raided a UFO researcher. Why is the FBI coming into breaking down this guy's house? No knock raid. He has a website where he posts photos of what he saw at Area 51. I don't know. There's just a lot of weird things going on with our own Justice Department. They've been on a domestic terrorism watch since the beginning of this pandemic. Mm-hmm. You better not be mad at any sort of restrictions. Oh, we're stripping away your freedom in the pandemic, and you better not dare question how our elections work, or you're a domestic terrorist. Like our Justice Department has literally been putting out memos about that. And so I totally agree with you that we have our own real concerns, that we don't want America to get like Qatar. And sometimes it's feeling like it's getting a little too close to being that way. 100%. Get where you're coming from. Any other comments before we shut it down for the night? I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday weekend. Are you guys Black Friday shopping or what? I know Black Friday is like a month long now. I haven't even shopped.
I haven't even shopped either. And I'm actually proud of myself because I had, girl, on my Amazon cart list, like I have the save for later. Uh-huh. I'm like racked up and I'm just like, well, it's later. It is Black Friday. And I'm just like, girl, just kidding. I think I'm going to wait a little bit. There is Cyber Monday coming up too. Right. So I don't know if the deals are different or not.
Maybe I should wait for Cyber Monday.
But in the past, I've tended to go to the stores and I love just having that time like early on. Like I wasn't like the 5 a.m.er. I wasn't that crazy, Uh-huh. I did go to the store, but now I'm just like, I just want to stay at home. I was like, we have technology at our fingertips where I could just, right. Yes, this is my size. This is what I like. Okay, whatever. Right. I'll just go ahead and order it online and it shows up to my doorstep and I don't have to be in the midst around all these people like pushing and shoving. And it's like, oh, that was mine first or whatever. And I'm like, this is wonderful. Like I could just do it from the comfort of my own home.
Totally, I agree. I already saw a New Year's dress that I'm going to buy for Black Friday. Yes. And
not Qatar appropriate.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It's got, it's kind of see-through with sequins. Qatar will not like my New Year's dress. Okay. My conservative viewers already don't like my outfits. So Qatar is definitely not going to approve. Will not be spending New Year's in Qatar. But anyway, no, honestly, shopping in person has always been so therapeutic for me. It doesn't matter what kind of shopping. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when I'm stressed, I just go to the grocery store because it just calms me down.
Yes, yes. I think for me, it's more the driving part of it, like just getting in my car and just going to the store. Like, I swear, Target is a casino for women. Like, you just go there, you're supposed to get like 1 or 2 things, and you come out racking up like $500, and you're like, why did I do this? Okay, never again.
Yes, yes.
And here I go the next day.
That's definitely been me. No, that's me with Whole Foods. Whole Foods is my Target. I'll just go there. There's been days or weeks where I've went there every day of the week for no reason, but it calmed me down. It's my therapy session. I know it's weird. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into Truth Bombs. Ashley Rodriguez Vazquez has joined me for the first time on Truth Bombs. I have linked your Instagram down below for people to follow.
Thank you.
Do you have any other sites that people should follow, or Instagram?
No, I mean, just my handle is the same all throughout social media platforms. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited, and thank you for the bubbly. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Absolutely, it's been great. All right, everyone, have a wonderful holiday weekend, and enjoy your family time without too much drama. Cheers.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Cheers.
Yay.